The parade of power, the stars above the planet. Kareth sparkled like jewels in the void. Massive warships drifted across the sky, arranged in perfect formation. It was the annual Unity Parade, where the great empires of the galaxy showed their strength. The Veltron Alliance, the most powerful group in this part of the galaxy, had gathered its fleet here. Thousands of ships, from destroyers to dreadnoughts, moved in silence, glowing with energy, forming sharp lines and curves that lit up the night sky. Crowds cheered from the ground. Aliens of all kinds filled the grand stadiums and sky towers. Children pointed at the giant screens, watching the slow, majestic flight of ships above them. A voice echoed across all frequencies. Today we celebrate peace through strength. Our fleet is unmatched. Our borders are safe. No one dares to challenge the unity of the Veltron Alliance. But while the voice spoke of peace, the fleet above was built for war. High above, inside the flagship Voss Prime, Commander Darrell stood before a glowing screen. He was proud. His species had once been weak, but now he stood among the leaders of an empire that controlled thousands of worlds. All systems green, his officer reported. Every ship reporting in, except one. Darrell raised an eyebrow. Which one? Designation unknown. It's flying in formation, but it's not one of ours. Darrell frowned. What do you mean it's not ours? It's flying with us. The officer looked nervous. It has no transponder, no ID, no registry. It's just there. Get me visuals. The screen zoomed in on the unknown ship. It looked like a battleship. Old, dark hull, no markings, no lights. Just there. Floating silently between two Veltron cruisers like it belonged. Darrell leaned closer. Is this some kind of trick? No, sir. I double-checked. It appeared during the formation jump. It entered at the exact same time as our ships. It mimicked our drive signature perfectly. Darrell's stomach tightened. That was impossible. He opened a fleet-wide channel. Unknown ship. Identify yourself. Immediately. Silence. Again he spoke, firmer. This is Commander Darrell of the Veltron fleet. You are in restricted formation space. Respond. Still nothing. But then, the screen flickered. A strange signal came through. It was not sound, not language. It was a pulse. Just one. Darrell's officer gasped. Sir, that pulse just matched our master command frequency. What? That ship. It heard our top-level control signal, and it responded like one of ours. The room went silent. Darrell stared at the image. The unknown ship remained still. Quiet. But now it didn't seem like an outsider. It seemed like it was always supposed to be there. Begin a full scan, Darrell ordered. Already running, sir. Seconds passed, then minutes, and then the scanning officer looked up, pale. Sir, this ship is using Earth-based stealth tech. Darrell froze. Earth, the forgotten world. The species everyone thought had vanished centuries ago. The Terrans. It can't be, Darrell whispered. Earth is gone. Humans are extinct. Then why is a Terran warship hiding inside our fleet? Before anyone could answer, alarms blared. Ships began reporting sensor errors. Communications dropped for a few seconds. The unknown ship didn't move, but it was doing something. The fleet's formation started to drift slightly. Darrell shouted, "Shut it down! Push it out of formation!" But it was too late. A message appeared, on every screen. Just 5 words. Observation complete. Earth remembers. And with that, the unknown ship vanished. Not in a jump. Not in a burst. It simply blinked out. Gone. Darrell stood frozen. Around him, officers whispered, confused and afraid. He didn't move. His mind raced. If that ship had been watching them, inside their own fleet, undetected, then Earth wasn't dead, and they were never alone. Silent passenger. The silence after the Terran ship vanished felt like a punch to the chest. Commander Darrell stood frozen on the Voss Prime's bridge. Around him, officers stared at blank screens, unable to speak. What they had just witnessed was impossible, unbelievable. But it had happened. The mysterious battleship, hidden in their parade formation, had used Earth technology, ancient, human, tech to appear and disappear at will. It left behind no trace, no heat, no signal trail, nothing. Just a message burned into every fleet system. Observation complete. Earth remembers. Daryl clenched his fists. Trace it. Reconstruct the last scan. Where did it go? We're trying, sir, one technician answered. But it didn't jump. It just vanished. Another voice added. Its stealth system didn't cloak. It erased its presence completely. It was like the ship was never real. The words sent a chill through the room. Meanwhile, back at the Veltron Central Fleet Command, the message had triggered panic. Emergency meetings were held, warnings were issued, but no one had answers. No one had seen a Terran warship in over 300 years. They were extinct, weren't they? On the edge of Veltron space, in a small outpost named Zeta 9, a lonely signal. Analyst named Keelan reviewed the day's data. He wasn't part of the fleet. He just monitored ship traffic in deep space. His job was boring, until today. As the fleet passed Zeta 9, he noticed something strange. A ship, matching no known pattern, had moved through their systems minutes before the fleet entered. It had followed a perfect parallel course, just a little behind, using the fleet's sensor blind spot like it knew exactly where to hide. Keelan zoomed in. There it was again, a dark mass moving silently, reflecting no light, giving off no signature. He ran a check. His system froze. A new screen flashed. Level read, do not pursue. Log transferred. What the? The entire station's lights flickered. Backup systems kicked in. When Keelan opened his logs again, the unknown ship was gone. And so was the footage. Back in Fleet Command, Daryl stood before the High Council of the Veltron Alliance. A dozen tall, robed leaders sat at the curved table. The room was cold and dark, lit only by blue lights from the floor. This wasn't a mistake, Daryl said. That ship didn't appear by accident, it wanted to be seen. A counselor leaned forward. You claim it was Terran, but Earth fell centuries ago. Maybe it did, but something survived. Something powerful. That battleship wasn't damaged. It was advanced, and it walked right into our fleet without anyone noticing. The council murmured in fear. Commander, another counselor said, you said the ship said only 2 words, Earth remembers. What does that mean? Daryl answered, without hesitation. It means they've been watching. Elsewhere, in a secret system at the edge of the galaxy, the Terran warship floated silently in the dark. It was massive, shaped like a black dagger, with no lights, no markings, no sound. But deep inside, systems were active, alive. A voice echoed through the dark halls. It was calm, cold. Phase 1 complete, fleet integrity confirmed. Alliance still arrogant. Proceed to Phase 2. Inside the control room there was no crew, only machines. But on the front chair, a faint glowing outline appeared, like a memory of a person, sitting calmly, watching stars. The ship was thinking, learning, preparing. Its next move would not be quiet. Back in the Veltron fleet, strange malfunctions started happening. Ships would freeze for half a second, then return to normal. Weapon systems would arm for no reason. Data logs were altered. The fleet engineers tried to explain it, but one by one they realized it wasn't an error. It was a backdoor. The Terran warship hadn't just watched them, it had entered their systems, copied them, infected them. Their fleet was no longer theirs alone. Commander Daryl stood before his officers, face pale. We have a silent passenger. It was here, and it never truly left. Then a message appeared again on every screen. 1. Linde, you paraded your power. We walked among it. The bridge fell silent. No one said a word. Because now, They all understood. The Terrans hadn't just returned. They had never truly left. Shadows of Earth Commander Darrell didn't sleep. His mind was racing. The image of that dark, unmarked battleship haunted him. It had moved inside their fleet like a ghost, sent a chilling message, and vanished. But worse than that, it had done something to their systems. Now their entire command structure felt fragile. Trusted computers blinked oddly. Automatic security checks failed at random. Fleet AI whispered incomplete data. Every time a console flickered, someone on the bridge flinched. The warship had infected them like a virus, and no one could remove it. "Sir," an officer called out, "something new appeared in our archives." "What kind of data?" "A file, buried deep under classified folders. No one on this ship ever created it. It's dated 322 years ago." Darrell felt his heart sink. "Open it." The file contained a short video. Static. Then the image of a man, human, appeared. His eyes were calm, his voice was steady. "To the ones who think Earth fell, to those who forget their roots, know this: we do not forget. We do not forgive. The stars are our home too, and we walk in your shadows." The video ended with a logo: Earth Defense Protocol, code, Ghost Fleet. Darrell stood silently. They planned this, long ago. Elsewhere, on the mining moon of Yora 5, a deep tunnel collapsed. Emergency bots moved to investigate, but inside the crater, something was exposed. An object buried deep for centuries. It was a small pod shaped like a black egg. Cold, silent, untouched. When scanned, it sent out one signal. Node 14 of Ghost Fleet, awake. The pod vanished from local sensors a moment later. Veltran scouts were sent to track it but found nothing. Not even a trail. But from that point on, mining drones on nearby moons began shutting down one by one. Something was activating beneath their feet. In the Veltron high command chambers, leaders met in secret. "We should prepare to strike." One shouted, "Earth is rising from the ashes." "We don't know if it's Earth," another said. "It could be some remnant AI." "Does it matter?" Darrell said coldly. "It knows us. It walked through our most sacred formation and left. Whenever it wanted, it touched our systems, our people, and we can't touch it back." "What do you propose, Commander?" Darrell hesitated, then replied, "We don't strike, not yet. We dig. We search for the shadows they've left." "Why?" "Because they've already done the same to us. At the edge of forgotten space, inside a nebula that scrambles all signals, 5 Terran ships sat cloaked. Each ship was different. Some were thin and sharp, others wide and flat. But all were built from black metal with glowing blue lines across their hulls. Silent, perfect. They were not part of any known fleet. They were not broadcasting any signal, but they were watching. Inside one, the systems pulsed with life. Veltron response patterns confirmed, the ship's AI said. Threat level, acceptable. Proceeding to next step. A second ship replied in coded pulses. Send shadows deeper. Leave no light. Wake the others. Back in the Veltron core worlds, children began having nightmares. Not normal ones, shared ones. Dreams of massive, black ships hovering over red skies, of human voices calling from the dark, of battles that had never happened, but felt real. Psychic analysts were sent to investigate. They found nothing, but in the deep labs, the truth was whispered. The dreams were memories. Imprinted. Earth's fleet wasn't just hiding in space, it had begun hiding in minds. Commander Darrell watched the stars from his quarters. His hands trembled, though he tried to hide it. He remembered old stories from the war, back when Earth was powerful, unstoppable. He remembered the final battle, or what people believed was the final battle. Earth had disappeared. The remaining humans were thought to be dead or scattered. But now, one of their ships had walked into his fleet unseen. It didn't fire a single shot, but it left fear more powerful than any weapon. And the message still burned in his thoughts. Earth remembers. Earth returns. The trap was never ours. The Veltron Alliance had always believed in control. Their fleets were the biggest. Their ships were the fastest. Their sensors could track a pebble in the dark of space. But now, none of that seemed enough. Commander. Daryl stood inside a war chamber with flickering lights. Engineers worked in panic around him. Screens blinked, maps shifted. Something was wrong with the system, but no one could point to what exactly. It was like the galaxy had changed shape. Their trap had been simple. They deployed a ghost signal, one designed to pull the Terran ship back. A signal built to trick and track. But when they activated it, nothing responded. At first, then the screens all turned blue. A new message appeared, slow and cold. "We built that signal. We left it for you." The room went silent. Darrell felt the walls closing in. "How long have they been ahead of us?" No one answered, because the truth had just arrived. They weren't hunting Terrans. The Terrans were hunting them. On the icy moon of Volin 7, a new listening station had gone online. Just 2 days earlier, it was remote, well hidden, and powered by the most advanced quantum computers. And yet, without any alarms or warnings, every door in the station opened at once. The crew inside froze. One officer rushed to the control panel. "We've been breached." The security AI responded in a human voice. "No, you were already chosen." Lights flickered. One by one, the walls turned transparent. Outside the dome, hovering silently in the sky, was a Terran stealth cruiser, but this one was different. It was not black. It was glass, reflecting stars like water, blending into the night sky. Then the ship disappeared again. Not with speed, not with sound, just gone. Inside the station, a single crate remained, metal, locked, marked with an old Terran emblem. When opened, it contained only one item, a data cube. Its message was simple. "We walk first. You follow." Back at the Veltron High Council, panic had turned to fear. Plans were being made to build a new fleet, bigger ships, smarter weapons. But Daryl said only one thing. "It won't matter." They all turned toward him. "Why not?" asked the chief speaker. "Because we are still thinking like rulers," Darrell answered. "But they are thinking like ghosts." In the deep black of space, a hidden Terran archive activated. It had no crew, only sensors and time. And as it powered on, it sent data across the galaxy. Not words, not maps, memories. Suddenly, hundreds of Veltron AI systems across different fleets began to crash. Archives were replaced with ancient videos, clips of old Earth battles, human war chants, and planetary bombardments. The Veltron public, once confident in peace, now watched terrifying images. Old enemies whispered, "The Terrans are back." Rumors spread like fire, and somewhere in the center of it all, the humans watched. On an abandoned Terran colony world, covered in ash and dust, a door opened for the first time in 300 years. Under it, inside a deep vault, stood soldiers. Human. Alive. Sleeping. In cryopods, each one marked with a red symbol. Ghost Protocol, await reawakening. The pods lit up, one by one, and in the center of them all stood a command pod labeled simply, Warship Captain. The eyes inside that pod blinked open, calm, focused, and the voice said only one word, "Now." The trap the Veltron fleet had built, it was never their trap. The entire bait, the signal, the decoy, it had all been part of Earth's design. They wanted to see who still ruled. They wanted to see who would panic, and now they had the answer. Because, while the Veltrons believed the humans were gone, the humans were simply waiting, and now they were awakening. Earth's silence breaks. The silence of Earth had always been strange. For centuries, no signal, no response, no movement. Just a quiet, broken planet covered in storms and dust, forgotten by most, feared by a few. Until now. In the deep space sector, labeled Black Zone 9, Veltran long-range sensors detected an impossible reading. A pulse, not a distress call, not a message, a heartbeat, rhythmic, low, deep. Then a second one. Across the Veltran command, alerts flashed red. It's coming from Sector 001, the technician said, eyes wide. Commander Darrell whispered, Earth. Far away in the orbit around the dead Earth, something moved. Buried beneath the old human moon base, a massive machine began to rise. Not a ship. A gate. It unfolded like a flower made of metal, spinning silently, powered by ancient reactors hidden under the surface. As the gate opened, it revealed a tunnel of light, folded space, stable and perfect. From the other end came a shadow. One ship. No markings. It glided through the gate like a knife through paper and hovered above Earth's orbit. Then it sent a single burst of light across the galaxy. No encryption. No code. Just 3 simple words. Earth is listening. Veltran. News channels exploded. Emergency meetings were held in every system. Public panic swept through planets. Military leaders screamed for action. Propaganda machines tried to calm the people. But none of it mattered, because deep down, everyone knew the truth. Earth was never dead. It had simply gone quiet, and now it had chosen to speak. Meanwhile, back in the dark space where the Terran ship first appeared in the Veltran fleet formation, strange anomalies began. Ships drifting too close to that area would lose power for seconds. Some heard voices through the comms, whispers in old Terran language. Others claimed to see a black shape between the stars, like a ghost ship watching. From afar, some thought it was a glitch. Others knew better. Inside Veltran Command HQ, Darrell sat alone with a personal message, not from a Terran ship, not from a source he could trace. It was a direct feed into his personal monitor, his private, shielded space. The screen turned black, then white text appeared. You saw us. You saw one. Now you will see what remained hidden. A low rumble shook the entire base. Across 10 systems, every major sensor station picked up the same thing. Hundreds of signals, all Terran, all cloaked, all moving. From everywhere, toward one direction. From the dust of forgotten planets, from the rings of gas giants, from deep beneath asteroid fields, the ghost fleet emerged. No bright lights, no noise. Just the soundless appearance of black warships drifting from hiding. One by one. Dozens, hundreds, until the sky was no longer stars. It was Terran metal. Back in orbit around Earth, the first ship opened its hangar. Inside stood a figure, not fully human, not fully machine. Its eyes glowed with soft blue light, and on its chest, etched deep into the armor, were 5 words. Earth. Never forgot its children. The silence was over. Earth had spoken. Now it was time to act. The ghost fleet moves. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. Over 1,000 human ships, dark, silent, and cloaked in strange energy, were now moving as one. No lights, no signals, no radio waves. Just formation. Perfect formation. The ghost fleet didn't travel through hyperspace like the others. It didn't flash or distort. It simply slid across reality. Veltran observers watched helplessly. No weapons locked, no sensors. Traced them, one general whispered. It's like they're phasing. Commander Darrell stood in the main war room silent, staring at the growing red dots on the holographic map. Where are they heading? Someone asked. Darrell answered without blinking. Us. On the planet Jorax Prime, Veltran forces prepared defenses. Massive cannons turned skyward. Drones filled the air. Civilian transports were evacuated. Still, fear spread faster than orders, because everyone knew this was not just a fleet. This was a judgment. Jorax Prime had once hosted a Terran colony. Centuries ago, during the Great War, Veltrans had erased it. Now, it seemed, Earth remembered. As the ghost fleet neared the planet, something terrifying happened. All Veltran systems shut down, shields collapsed, weapons powered off. Lights flickered, then died. Even breathing systems paused for 3 whole seconds. Panic, screams, chaos. Then, silence. Above the dark planet, hundreds of Terran ships came into view, no longer cloaked, no longer hiding. They floated in stillness. And then one single message echoed across all frequencies. We do not attack first, but we do not forget. Back on Earth, deep in a mountain bunker, an old AI, known only as Warden, watched the Ghost Fleet move. Its voice echoed through the cold chambers. Stage 1 complete. Observation recorded. Begin memory phase. Every Terran ship released drones, small, fast, and invisible to most sensors. These drones didn't fire. They recorded. They scanned every structure, every weapon, every face. And they remembered. On. The Veltran homeworld, the High Council broke into shouting. What do they want? They haven't fired. Is this a warning? A trick? Commander Darrell stood, calm and grim. They're showing us something, he said. They could destroy us, but they won't. Why? A council member demanded. Darrell answered softly. Because they want us to see the truth first. They want us to realize we were never in control. Suddenly, every major Veltran broadcast changed. News stations, advertisements, private screens, military monitors. Each one displayed a different scene, a battle from long ago, Terran ships, burning, children crying, colonies destroyed. By Veltrans. They weren't fakes. They were real. Recorded by humans. Hidden for centuries. The Veltran people gasped. Many wept, some denied it. But the Ghost Fleet kept broadcasting, one memory at a time. On Jorax Prime, Veltran soldiers dropped their weapons. They weren't ordered to, they just understood. The human ships above had not fired a single shot, but they had won the sky. They had won the truth. They had won the fear. And in that moment, the Veltran soldiers knew Earth had returned not to conquer, but to remind. The name they forgot, the Veltran High Council held an emergency gathering, broadcast to every system. They needed to speak, to explain, to calm the rising fear spreading through their empire. But, before the first word was spoken, all the screens turned to static. Then, a symbol appeared. It was simple. A red circle wrapped in black wings. Underneath it, just 2 words. Terran Command. Silence fell across every world. Veltran leaders tried to override the signal, but nothing worked. Then a voice spoke. Not loud, not angry. Calm, controlled. We are not here to take your world. We are not here to destroy your fleets. We came because you forgot. The voice paused. You erased our history. You silenced our name. You thought we would vanish. The image on the screen changed. It now showed the original Terran War Charter, a document believed to be lost centuries ago, signed by every human colony before the collapse. It stated one rule. If our name is forgotten, our ships will rise. Across the Veltran Empire, civilians fell into silence. Their children watched old recordings now replayed by the Ghost Fleet. Human children once laughing, dying, fighting, and always surviving. Many Veltran citizens cried, not because they were attacked, but because they saw the truth. They were wrong. On the bridge of the Terran command ship, a figure stood, face hidden by a dark helmet. Around them, the other human ships began to pull back. Not a single shot had been fired, no cities destroyed, no lives taken. But an entire empire now shook, because it remembered a name they had buried long ago. Humanity. On Jorax Prime, a small boy looked up at the sky. He saw hundreds of black ships rising like birds returning to the stars. His father, a soldier, stood beside him and whispered, "They could have ended us." The boy asked, "Why didn't they?" His father said nothing, but the boy already understood. Humans didn't return for war. They returned because someone had to remember. On Earth, Deep below the surface, the AI called Warden shut down the last vault. Mission complete. The Ghost Fleet had awakened the galaxy. Their message had been delivered. Humanity was no longer forgotten. They were now a name carved into the stars, not with fire, but with fear. As the ships disappeared once more into the dark, one final message echoed across the galaxy. We never left, we were watching, and now, you remember,